Sitting here with a cold brew in my hand, I feel amalgamated with the hoi polloi.
You are the classic everyman.
It's really neat to be talking to you about Frasier. It's such a great reboot. What was it like for you to step back into this role? Was it like putting on a jacket or riding a bike?
Yeah, it is like riding a bike. Honestly, I mean, he wasn't created by me, but he was fleshed by me. He was fleshed in by me, and so my creative juices have always been easily ignited by this character, and it just happened again. It just was simple, like throwing it on a jacket.
Why was now the right time to bring Frasier back? I know there'd been talk over the years about doing a reboot. Why was now the right time?
We wrote actually for almost 4 years stuff as we were going along and sort of trying to drum up support for it. But then finally somebody said, we're going to make this show. And that's music to your ears. That's what you hear. And you say, okay, let's go. And then it was kind of like we're off to the races. It was wonderful. What is timely about it right now is just, I think the world, America, Canada, wherever, people are in the mood for laughing a little bit. Like laughing at themselves, laughing at the world, laughing at finding like a familiar place that feels comfortable. Like that is what's provided by the character of Frasier, but where you're allowed to laugh a little bit and to kind of just sit back and enjoy yourselves and think, oh, television's a wonderful place to just spend a little time and, drop all this stuff for a little while. I think it's probably needed more now than it has been in some time.
Did you see it as a full circle moment to go back 40 years and play this character? I mean, not many actors have done that in their careers.
Yeah, it is kind of a one-off in a funny way. But it just seemed right because he's such an affable character. And I guess, and some of that probably comes from me. I mean, I genuinely like people. I genuinely like examining the human experience, our lives, our time together on the planet, whatever. And I love people. And so that love is imbued in him, and that fondness for people is part of the show. I mean, it's just he's in it with his whole heart and always has been, and that's why he's still fun to play.
So the reboot focuses on Frasier's relationship with his son. I know there had been talk about different, ideas for this over the years. What was the inspiration for making that the sort of central plot device?
Well, honestly, it was honestly just sort of a shell game a little bit. So there's Martin and Frasier, so now there's Frasier and Freddie. So it just had to. It's like a bookshelf, or bookends, I guess. It had to bracket it in some way. That relationship with the father coming to terms with his son is parroted again in this relationship, and because it's fertile ground, and it's real, it's connected, and it has to do with things of the heart. William Faulkner said when he accepted his Nobel Prize for literature, he said, if you're a young person trying to write something, write about matters of the heart, because if you don't write about that, you're writing about nothing. The only thing that really matters is the heart, and so that's what we have in this show.
I didn't know this. Jimmy Burrows told it to me when I spoke to him a couple months ago. But Frasier was originally only supposed to be on Cheers for a short, arc, 6 episodes.
He's going to break up Sam and Diane. Yeah, that was sort of it.
But you were a hit on that show. I mean, what do you think? What was it about that character? I mean, I used to chuckle so hard as a kid watching your scenes. What was it about that character, though, that resonated with so many people across so many different generations now when you really think about it?
I think what is funny about Frasier is he's accomplished, but he's so awkward. He's so innocent and unfamiliar with things. At the same time, he's very well educated. So I think he reminds people of themselves a lot. Like, gosh, I'm in and out of my depth. I'm not like I'm always stubbing my toe, or I'm always making this mistake or this faux pas. But they know it comes from a place of love. They know they're safe with him. They always know they're safe with Frasier. He's going to somehow find a way to redeem himself and pull it out or embarrass himself. As long as he's just embarrassing himself, he's likable, and that's the key of it. But when I first read the part, and I've said this before to people, but it seemed to me that the only way to play him was to make sure that he loved Diane with his entire being, like he'd never been in love before. So that the pain that came of that, and arguably the pathos or whatever, but that made him funny because he cared so deeply, and everybody knew it wasn't going to work out. You know, I think he enlisted some sort of sympathetic votes for a while, but he also got people chuckling because he was still fighting through it. He was going to clean the toilets if it meant he could, you know, live with dignity. You know, he's a great guy.
What have you learned from playing this character your whole life, really? What have you learned, and what have you taken away and sort of taken into your own, you know, as you go out in the world?
Yeah, I guess what I've learned is that it's you don't quit. I mean, I kind of always knew that, but Frasier didn't quit ever on his family, on the people that he cared about, on himself even. You know, he just kept trying. He never quit on love. He never quit on love. He flew to Chicago instead of San Francisco, so he could try to make it work with his girlfriend at the time, and it sort of worked a little bit. As he's funny without being paired up, honestly. You know, let's face it, he's funnier longing for something than having it. So we're in the fight with him. We want to kind of be in there with him, rooting for him.
It's true. What was it like reuniting with Bebe Neuwirth, who plays Lilith? She returned on an episode of Frasier that I watched last night.
Yeah, it was great. Bebe's such a fun gal, and so competent. You know, I mean, she's a real pro. She shows up, and she knows she has great timing. So it's always fun to do that. But you know, the underpinning is that we have, you know, this sort of this smoldering romance that's still, you know, at odds at the same time. It's really fun. It was great. I mean, the guys wrote, you know, they kiss on the bed. It didn't just happen. It just, but it was a funny idea. It worked, and people really responded to it. They were like, "Whoa!"
So Jimmy Burrows told me the bar is closed. The Cheers is closed. So we won't. You know, Frasier's not going to be going back there. But will he perhaps maybe run into some of the older?
Well, it's arguably, yeah. This is all possible. It's possible. Who knows? I mean, maybe there's going to be something. We were kicking around some idea about maybe seeing Sam, or, you know, seeing one of them. But we sort of did that on Frasier a couple of times. It's something you don't want to go that well too often, you know. And we don't need to go to it. People are watching the show. That's it's not really an eyeballs thing that we would need it to do. So if it really advanced the character to some place where you like have a rapprochement, maybe it would be with Diane or something like that. But we did the Diane thing too. You know, we did that on the previous one. So, but it might be neat to have them really sit down and talk and say something nice to each other. That'd be kind of cool.
What do you say we have a toast?
I got some scotch, if that sounds good.
Great, I'll go get it.
Top shelf.
Of course, nothing less.
No, it's on the top shelf of the hutch, green plastic jug.